That's it, I'm done. That might be some of the internal and external voices that are happening right at this moment. And what do I mean by that? Well, at the moment we're going through what is called the Great Resignation, whereby lots of people are deciding that they want to leave their jobs. And this is putting business leaders in a really difficult position because they're losing their top talent and they're losing their most valuable employees. In this video, I'm going to talk about why it's happening and what we can do to maybe negate all the problems that are going along with it. Hi guys, my name's Lee Eldridge, Human Performance Coach at Cognitive Athlete. I hope you're doing well. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. What I'm doing here is I'm bringing learnings from 15 years working with elite business people and sports people and combining them together. The channel is all about how we go about improving performance and sustaining performance during challenging times. And there is no more challenging time than COVID-19. And what's been happening in the business world is definitely this idea of the Great Resignation, where people are quitting their jobs or leaving their jobs or being headhunted and moving to different companies. And it's becoming a very difficult time to be a leader. In this video, I'm going to talk about what's happening and how we can improve the situation that we're in. But before we have a discussion about what's going on, let's just look at some of the data that's coming out. They reckon that there's around 4 million US workers that left their job in April in 2021. McKinsey did a study and it found that 40% of employees are somewhat likely to leave and 18% were likely to leave. In the UK, there's seen a 40% rise in job searches online. And lastly, over half of the younger generation are unhappy in their current job. So as we can see, things are not looking great at the moment. And I constantly see this discussion when I'm working with my clients about how when people leave, it becomes an issue and how to re-employ other people or get people on board. It's a difficult situation to be in. So as a leader, what can you do? During multiple conversations with clients, we always talk about the one thing that seems to keep people at their jobs, and that is engagement. The stats are pretty scary. Around 20% of people are engaged in their work. Now, out of that 20% are probably going to be your best workers for obvious reasons. But we can't just rely on that 20% to do most of the work, because what will happen is that 20% will get stressed and burn out. Then what happens is that load gets spread across the rest of the teams and rest of the employees. And it's kind of a house of cards scenario, whereby which is the next one that's going to fall and break, and then we're in another situation. So engagement is the number one thing. And how can we go about making sure that our employees are engaged in their roles and their jobs? I'm going to talk about 4 areas that will help improve engagement in your company and also to help if you are employed to really start to think about how to become more engaged. The first one is to make sure that you have, as a leader, clear values and goals. Well, what's happening with COVID is that a lot of companies have become very agile in what they're doing. They're changing all the time. They're working from projects that are very different to anything they've ever seen before. And as an employee or a direct report, this can become quite difficult to understand where the company's going and where that individual is going to be in 6 months, a year, or 18 months, which is quite unsettling for individuals. The next is to make sure that you demonstrate your values. Now, it doesn't matter what happens over the course of the next 12 months to 2 years, your values need to be carved out as an individual and as a team. And whether you're working back in the office, a hybrid situation, or completely remote, and those values need to be worked on daily. This helps develop a culture. And that is one of the biggest things to do, is to develop a culture of engagement. Number 2. Open communication. We need to have open communication. We need to have honest feedback about what's going on, about people's performance. Even if you can't put out there what is definitely going to happen with the company, we need to give our employees a rough understanding of what's going. People will leave if they do not feel sure in their jobs. When things come along and other companies come in for top talent, people want that feeling of security. So if you are a leader, having open communication and being very honest about what's happening and where things are going and what the future looks like, even if you don't really know it yourself, can be a very effective point to use with those top talent people. Before I go on to point 3, here is a question I'd like you to ask yourself. Do people know what your vision is? Okay, it's a simple yes or no. And if it's no, why not? Have you explained it clearly? When was the last time you did explain it? Has it changed? Because that's part and parcel of what's going on. But making sure that people know your vision helps them feel part of a team and helps them to move forward as an individual and as a part of that team. Point number 3, connection. If we think about it, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, we'd be in tribes, a small number of people that would know us intimately in and out, and that would bring and build connection. Now, obviously, even pre-COVID, I don't think that we were that close to colleagues as we were in a tribe scenario, but we thrive on that connection. And as we can see that people who are isolating, who are on their own, have increased stress responses and increased anxiety. So making sure that you are connecting with your people and also making sure that your people have an opportunity to connect with each other is vastly important. How can you go about this? How can you set up hybrid working? How can you make sure that these people come in? How can you create team days, which are probably more important than they would be or have been pre-pandemic? And by taking these steps, it will encourage communication, it will encourage connection, it will encourage creativity and complex problem solving. And by doing that, once somebody is in that tribe, it's very difficult for them to kind of look outside and think, why would I want to move somewhere else? Or why would I want to leave the position that I'm in? Number 4, mastery. Mastery is vital and learning is vital for people to be engaged. If people feel that they are developing, they are more likely to stay in that company and in that environment, because progression and improvement is innate with humans. That's how we are where we are today. All we've done is we've just got a little bit better over a long period of time. And I'd ask you, the question is, are your people learning? Are your people improving? But more about, are you actually learning? Are you improving yourself? Because if people see that you're improving yourself, they're more likely to want to improve themselves. Then you can go about giving them a platform to do that, whether that's in-house, remote, external, whatever it is. One vitally important point to that is that the individual needs to choose what they like to do or what they want to do. Of course, there are core skills and core education that some of your staff member or even yourself have to go along to, but making sure that there's autonomy over where they can sculpt their career is going to be vitally important. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that you found some points to take away to help you develop engagement in yourself and in the people around you. If you haven't already, there is a link in the description box to our optimal performance test, where you can go along and see how well you are doing in certain areas and what you need to develop on. By doing this, you'll be able to sustain performance both inside and outside your office. If you haven't already, I strongly recommend that you go and watch our sustainable performance video, where we talk about how to sustain performance day in, day out. In the comment box, I'd love to hear if you've quit your job and why you quit your job and what are you planning to do, or if you've been headhunted, what made you leave your company. As always, looking to grow and develop, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. More videos coming up like this in the near future. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.